Okay, well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Next week we'll hear from Glickhorn from Skybox Security. He pretends or claims or alleges that we can do predictive security. We'll see that next week. Today I have the good fortune to introduce one of you from the past, Dan Glickhorn, who graduated here and then went to Cornell, got his master's degree, and now works for Samsung. So let's welcome him back.
Well, hi. As Dr. Lee said, I'm from Samsung. I work specifically in their IPTV division, the software platform on the televisions. And my presentation today is about TV as a platform, and with the nice background of, remember when TVs were actually platforms and you could put stuff on top of them? Today, the TV has somewhat evolved from the sort of model it was at this point, and it has gone through some stages in between. And what I'd like to talk about is somewhat of the future of TV, which, because I work in IPTV, it's sort of my prerogative to say that it is over-the-top content, and it is basically side-loading content instead of using your cable provider. Instead of traditional content distribution mechanisms like cable, satellite, Verizon Fios, all of the standard media distribution methods of TV content. And the term that we use in the industry mostly is over-the-top content, things that come over the top of your signal that just sort of is injected in the back of your TV, and your TV has nothing to do with, really. So let me start. The TV through time. The TV through time has gone through different stages of control over content. It has gone from this initial model that most people in this room probably don't remember when it had giant dials that you had to get up and, couldn't use a remote at least to change channel. But it went through this phase initially of somebody broadcast content from some source. It went over the airwaves or through a cable, and your TV had some level of intelligence to decipher the content. It was the tuning device. It knew what you were watching, basically, via just knowing at least what channel you're on. And this was sort of the first step when the TV had control. The TV was really in control of your content. That didn't last actually that long, because we got to much more complicated formats of media, meaning cable providers, meaning much more high-resolution things that your TV didn't really know how to decipher. When you start going through sub-channels and when the digital spectrum starts changing over time, your TV really, how many people keep their TV for 10 years, or have their parents' old TV, or have something that they don't intend to replace very soon, because, even though there are, whisperings of quad HD coming out, but do you really want to change your TV again? It's mostly like the change from standard analog to digital, and now you have to have a 1080p set to get the latest and greatest content out of it. So they introduced the box. The box is the intelligence. It's basically taking the TV and ripping its brain out and putting it in a little box next to the TV. And so the TV is sort of relegated to a monitor. It has no knowledge of what's going on. You might as well be connecting your PC to it. It has no knowledge of what's actually connected to it. It just, you turn it on, it turns on, and it may or may not be enough to sort of clean up the content, clean up the signal a little bit. Most of the 120 hertz and 240 hertz TVs you hear about today are basically that. You plug in an HDMI port and it does some stuff on the top to increase picture quality, because it actually has no idea what's coming through the signal. The future. The future is what my group focuses on, and it's really, so we have this internet. The internet has the cloud. Connected to your TV. The TV has an Ethernet jack or Wi-Fi, and you connect it to the internet. The TVs that we have are actually Linux-based platforms. They're just a Linux box that runs a standard kernel and a couple of specialized drivers to control things like a tuner that usually wouldn't come with a Linux operating system. And basically, so you've connected the TV to the internet. Congratulations, now what? You have all this online content. You have this huge resource of digital media, but it's not really made for your TV. It's made for the internet. It's made for people with a laptop or some other form of interface device. And so plugging this into your TV is, as I'll explain a little bit, is really kind of more complicated than not. You're sort of unleashing this beast of online content to a format that is really made for watching TV and watching the Super Bowl and dealing with things that require a simple remote. So one of the changes in all of this is really the change between TV viewers to TV users, is that you have people that are passively interacting with the TV previously. You know, you have a remote, and your most interaction is channel up, favorite, channel down, maybe searching the guide or something like that, but not really what the internet entails, not really going to Google and typing something into a search box or trying to go to YouTube and find some funny video that you saw online or on TV at some point. And so we sort of have removed this sort of passive experience from the TV. And the question really comes down to is, should it still be a passive experience? One of the things we do at my office is work in looking at different user archetypes. We're actually engineering, but we have people that we pay to look at other user archetypes and go interview them. But basically, you have all these different archetypes. I don't know if people in the back can see the ones down here, but I'll explain them. Basically, we have about 12 archetypes, but these are probably the most canonical of the ones we look at. So you have the couch potato, someone who wants a real laid-back viewing experience. You know, they're happy with the remote, changing it up, down, up, and they don't really want it to be an internet portal. They want to enjoy video content. You have the sports nut who wants the latest and greatest of everything and will pay for the extra package and wants scores in addition to watching the video on top of the display. You have the family situation where they want controlled content, they want specific content, but many families watch kids stuff all the time because the kids are in the room, and so they don't really want a breadth of content. They want very specific content for them. You have the passive viewer who uses it white noise and doesn't actually care what their TV is plugged into, and they just leave it on all the time. You have the power viewer who wants to do everything with it, and as soon as they realize that the TV is a Linux box, they want to hack into it and do stuff to it. And so providing something that has a platform that they can get more advanced stuff. They really want their internet to come to their TV. And then you have the free viewer who will not pay for premium content regardless if it will save their life someday. They will watch, over the air broadcast content until the end of time, and they will cook crappy food and not buy Food Network just because, it's free. They're kind of that archetype is very similar to the don't give it up to the man archetype. Don't pay anybody for your content. It's kind of, it's free. So, given this situation and giving these users, you kind of have this bridge that you've made. And initially, you have this bridge, as I showed, of the cable box, but this link isn't open. We can't actually get anything through that because everything that comes over HDMI, you have no concept of the actual context that content is in. And so we take a different path. We connect it to the internets. Thank you, Ted Stevens. And so you have this massive content source that has a real breadth of content, of licensed, unlicensed content, professional, amateur content, and you're just sort of stuck with it. Do you really want to use YouTube and browse on your TV one by one through YouTube content like you would a channel? And so when you do that, it's much shorter than I was expecting. So down here we have the internet plus TV equals more questions than answers. So you're plugged it into this stream or this access to content, and you sort of have opened up Pandora's box of what can you do with it. You can do all sorts of things, but we raise questions of how to navigate that content, how to actually search on YouTube on your TV when you have users that will be fine using a keyboard, but other ones that just want a laid-back experience of pressing a button. How to access separate services. They all use a different API. Some of them are much more complicated than others, and you need all these plugins to access content in the same form. What do people want? How to handle licensing? How to actually monetize this content since you don't actually own any of it, other than selling TVs, which to date has been the only driving factor of these sort of services. And basically, it brings us to what the TV is right now. I don't know how many people have an internet-connected TV at home. Show of hands. All right. 2 plus me, that's 3. And so you have this content. How many? Better question. How many people actually plug it into the internet? All right. That's one fewer. That's better than average, actually. It's about 20% of people that buy an internet-connected TV that actually plug it into the internet. The rest of them press that button that says Internet at TV and wonder why it doesn't do anything. And then they call support. So you have access to these services. I just picked a random smattering of ones that most of the providers on Yahoo TV, our product, Google TV, they offer off the bat because they're really easy. Their APIs are really simple. They don't have to do anything. Some of them, like Netflix require encryption, but that's pretty easy. It's a Linux box. You can just port the driver from Flash over. So, but the question comes down to is, does the TV enable the same experience as the internet? Should it? Is it really what you want on the TV? Do you really want access to Twitter? Do you really want to sit there and watch your younger brother post to Twitter while you're trying to watch the hockey game? It's kind of a a different experience that needs to be separated. And so, what do we have today? We have Apple TV, which was released just 2 weeks ago. It shipped, I think, something like that, really recently. And so the Apple TV is basically a media content hub. You can stream stuff from your Apple products, you can stream stuff from iTunes, and you can have access to 99-cent TV shows, which are actually selling better than I would have thought, but, better than cable for most people's view. And, the question is, can't we do more? You have this puck, you have basically the iPhone connected to your TV. Can't you do more than that? We have Samsung Internet at TV, which I work on, and yes, I know the grid is really not what you want, but it's what Korea wants. So everybody gets what Korea wants. So basically, the Internet at TV is basically a widget platform. All of the stuff is a web-based interface. You write basically a web page that has actually an index.html page, and everything's a web interface, JavaScript content sort of thing. There has to be a balance here between power and functionality. If you have this web interface, it's kind of iffy what you want to do with it. If you have a laid-back user that wants to play, Sudoku, great. You can play Sudoku on the internet. It's not that complicated. You can make a little Flash app and put it on the TV. But once you get into the things that are much more immersive content, really concepts of streaming and channels and stuff like that, things that the TV was made for, you're kind of lost on these kind of widgety platforms. Even Android phones, even porting Android platform, really doesn't give application developers the kind of interface that they really want, which brings me to Google TV. So Google TV's model is similar, but their model is much more, the TV is a web browser. We bring the whole WebKit experience to your TV. And so you have a search box, and the biggest thing that we complain of at work is, should I need a keyboard to watch TV? Do you really want to sit there with a keyboard staring at it like you would your laptop or something like that? Because I'm pretty sure that your laptop actually can stream it a lot better. These things are pretty low power. They're about your cell phone, which your cell phone streaming 1080p content from the internet is, mostly people will complain more than they'll appreciate the feature. And so it comes down to the challenges that exist in this field, basically, is that you have all of these things that are not compatible with the TV watching experience. You have, should you have a keyboard? Should you have the little gum stick remote that Apple gives you that has 6 buttons? Wait, 7 buttons. Should you have to, post to Twitter on a T9 pad? Every time you want to do it, it's like texting on your old cell phone. Not quite the most optimal solution yet. There are others in addition to this. There are interactive pointing devices. There are the Hillcrest Labs Loop that lets you basically wave it in the air like a wand as if you're using like the Wii or one of those other devices. But is it really what you want on TV? Is it really what the TV was made for? The other question is that, so Samsung makes big TVs. Most people like them. This TV costs, that one costs about $3,200. these boxes, this one they announced today for $300, this one they announced for $99. Technology ages really quickly, and is it better to buy the TV that you want to keep for a long time because you just spent $3,200 on a TV, or would you rather buy a $100 box and every year just throw it away and get a new one with the latest technology in it? And that's one of the things that needs to be balanced on this kind of a model. The other ones, I don't know if people can see, but so users of a computer are much like a single guy sitting watching sports in his basement. You sit there, you watch content, you ingest content, and you're the only one ingesting it. And so there's kind of this concept of presence. You can log into Flickr, you can log into Facebook, you can do these things that won't annoy or otherwise detract from other people's viewing experiences. Whereas when you start getting multiple people in the situation, you sort of run into a problem of how do you log multiple people into Facebook at the same time? It's kind of a complicated scenario since, well, Facebook's not multi-user. It's Facebook. You log in and it's your face. Then you have 5 faces, and then there's no use case that really covers it. Also, something that everyone in my office gripes about all the time is that you have this sort of balance between devices and industry where, Google is a software company. They write great software. Samsung is a hardware company. They make great hardware. Samsung is not a software company. They pretend to be, but they're really not there yet. They don't really move as fast because they're more focused on product, on delivery cycles, on things like that that aren't compatible with the general software engineering environment today. Whereas Google is that sort of thing, and there's a reason their Google TV is this big and costs $300 because they don't make it themselves, and Logitech has to get a big cut, and thus it sort of fails a little bit on that end. Whereas Apple, actually, surprisingly enough, why they released the Apple TV before was that they're sort of balanced between software and hardware. And they are balanced because they control everything, production through the actual application development, and they can produce something that's integrated much faster. And the problem with that is first to market doesn't always really mean that it's the best. The Apple TV was an abysmal failure for years and years and years. And until they dropped the price to $99 and they can sell it to people who have Macs, which is also a slightly more reduced landscape of people, it's kind of I don't know. I don't want to say the word niche because there are a lot of people that would use their product if it was more open. If you could just use it as a hard drive and stream your stuff to it. If you could browse, Hulu a lot better on it. But the Apple TV, because it's not an application platform, is kind of your media hub in the middle of everything. So the other question comes down to content and licensing. Where does the media come from? Apple happens to have lots of agreements with people to use their content. Samsung has agreements with James Cameron. That's about it. Everything else has to be separate. So you have to use someone else's service. You have to use Hulu. You have to use YouTube. You have to use one of the things that's generally free online because Samsung doesn't want to pay for it since the TVs are already pretty expensive from the get-go, and people get kind of peeved when Hulu charges $9.99 a month for NBC. So, having this kind of online content versus what the cable companies already bring you. So NBC, Food Network, which, by the way, is the most expensive network for any cable provider to handle these days, which is surprising and kind of interesting to a lot of people about what people are watching on TV these days. HBO, premium stuff like that HBO has all the agreements, but it's not really worthwhile for one of the providers to put it on their TV because what are we getting out of it? It's really HBO streaming to you over the top, and there's no real monetization model for handling these sort of services. The last one is standards. There are no standards. Everybody has every other protocol. Facebook streams their video separate than Netflix or YouTube and all those things, and the system, I'm really expecting the whole sort of platform market to just diverge faster than it actually converges on anything, unless Google, I don't know, figures out a way to inject Android and sideload it onto your TV so that you can install it over whatever you have. But until then, people don't really play nice together. They all want their piece out of it, and since it's really a hardware-based thing, it's not really interesting to anybody to do that. But all of those challenges being said, there are very many opportunities in this market. It is kind of a make it or break it market. Apple TV versus Samsung at this point. They're both kind of making it, but they're somewhat separated. It's a market that has really high risk and high reward. It's considered an emergent technology area because there really isn't any defined solutions. Until you have standards, until you have real relevant solutions, it's not really set in stone yet, and so things change rather rapidly. I know we're always surprised at my office that, you know, we're using our platform and all our development is, you know, augmenting this Internet at TV platform, and eventually you get an update and the whole thing changes, and all the protocols change, and how it handles the web pages change, and you go, crap. You suddenly have to redo the whole thing, and it's because nobody's really following any guidebook. It's kind of open to people coming in. I mean, our lab has been steering a lot of the technologies in this area because I guess we have good ideas, and Korea is a little bit light on ideas right now for how to take it beyond internet on your TV. So, so it's really open to creative solutions and really has an opportunity to direct an entire field. And one of the benefits is that because it's this hardware-software solution, there are people in every single area that we deal with and every single thing connected to CS doing parts of it, because you have to think about how users use the software, how you have to get people to write the software, you have to get people to invent the thing in the software that you're to write, and you have to sort of integrate all these different technologies onto it, and there's still a lot of exploration onto what's a good solution, how do people want to interact. You know, the people that make the little wands for your TV, there's a lot of signal processing that goes into handling the accelerometer values to make it at least intuitive, so that you're not, you know, doing like the Wii. It's not like a hack and slash sort of swiping motion that just uses the accelerometers for feedback data. And so that's basically where the industry is right now. And what I'd like to conclude with in a sort of elongated fashion is the future of the field, what we're working on, what the field really is today, and where we think it's going to go. And it's really the next step in this sort of thing, because, you know, for all three of us in here that have internet-connected TVs, there are a lot of other people that Samsung would love to sell an internet-connected TV and charge you $10 for a Sudoku app. One of you might buy that Sudoku app, but they will make it. So the future is multi-user. I showed this picture before, but you couldn't really see it in that size. This is basically how your TV treats you. If you notice, probably not from the back, but if you notice from the front, they're all the same person. Your thing assumes that every person in the room is the same person, and they don't really care. If you log into Facebook, you're logged into Facebook as one user, and while there might be multiple people using it, who the heck cares? It's the TV, and they only have one account. And so this new form of interaction for applications, for services even, is really, you know, really emerging right now. And this whole concept of a mashup or recommendations for multiple people at the same time is really sort of expanding to fill a gap where, I mean, how many people watch TV alone? Sorry, but yes. A lot of people do watch TV alone, but a lot of people watch it together. And just because you're in it to buy a Mercedes doesn't mean that me and my Honda really wants to watch you be advertised continuously for a Mercedes. Not that the Mercedes aren't nice, just, you know. It's really a targeted market thing. Where is the person going to get the money out of it? You know, the person that's putting up the ads. It's sort of lost to how you market to a whole bunch of people. We're actually talking to this company, Quantcast, that does online media statistics and targeted marketing. And basically talking to them is, hey, we need to handle multiple users in an internet-like environment. And they went, well, can you take all their usernames and append them into one giant string, and then every time that set of users is in the room, then it'll target to that person? Yay? They're not really built to handle it. The internet's more private. The internet is your computer, you know? And so one of the things we really say is no one else wants to watch someone post to Twitter on TV. It's boring enough to see people post to Twitter. Watching someone post to Twitter is probably excruciating. And so it's really an opportunity for intelligence in this market to bring something more, to bring newer ideas and technologies into how to handle this situation where you have multiple users and one device. We call it a shared screen, really. The future is convergence. I am somewhat required to say this because Samsung has been pushing this for about 2 years, although no one's paying attention. The future is really convergence. The future is all your devices talking together. Why? Because they're all in your house. Half of them are made by the same people. Your TV should announce when your laundry is done. And so the first step of this is that all of the companies that are making these products, Apple, Google, Samsung, have released remote controls for your phone. This is a Omnia, well, not an Omnia, a Galaxy S phone. We have an Android remote control that you can use. We have an iPhone remote control that show up there. And you can basically lose your remote control and be fine. And that's about the end of that. From the Google TV, you can do a little bit more. You can watch TV, you can browse YouTube, stuff like that. Things that are a little bit one step further. On the Apple, you can stream your music from your phone to your TV. They're all about media. But really, that's one step. Basically, handheld remote controls. The next step that we've taken, and we showed at CES last year, which again is towards the bottom, is basically a combined framework on the TV and on the handhelds, where you have a situation where you have games. We really target. Our TV has a gaming platform. It runs SDL. Who knows what SDL is? Who thinks it's like so 10 years ago?
Is it just 2D? No, like 3D?
2D SDL. Woo! It's screaming slow. But our TVs, because it's a handheld platform, there's been a lot of games on the handheld platform, mostly casual games, things you don't have to be too involved in, not Tom Clancy, not those things, which they do sell, but they don't sell very well, is that it's mostly casual games. It's things that people would play on their own, sitting on BART, driving, taking it into the city or something like that. They also have games that, Sudoku, things that you do in private or, don't really spend a lot of time on. The TV we view as the same way. It's got about the same power, and thus we can enable games on this platform that are more interesting, things that you can't actually do on other platforms. What we demonstrated was Texas Holdem Poker. You can't do it on any other platform because every time it's your turn, everyone else has to turn around and not look, and it's kind of pointless. Whereas we sort of look at it that, look, so people are buying this really expensive TV. It costs $3,200. I hope they have a smartphone. If they have a smartphone, it's connected via Wi-Fi. The TV is on your your Ethernet anyway. Use it as a second screen. We deployed a platform to the handheld that, as part of the TV game, you really write this distributed application, which is beneficial too because the TV is really slow. In fact, this device here is faster than your TV this year. So we really can pull this sort of distributed application concept and run more interactive things that are much more intrinsically multi-user, that sort of are more entertaining than sitting there watching someone post to Twitter or watching someone else play solitaire while you're trying to watch the football game. And really, the future is intelligence. The future is something needs to be brought to the TV, something that both enables a power user experience and enables a laid-back experience at the same time. When you get a notification on your TV, which Samsung TVs now have push notifications, which, see how that goes. When you get a notification on your TV that your Netflix DVD has shipped, you can go and remember to go throw yours in the mail. You can go and look and see if you can get it faster on Hulu or something like that. And really, it's a different sense of how we're treating the TV. We have this portal for people that are of not just people sitting at their computer, but real people that want a different experience. Otherwise, sit in front of your TV with your computer. It's going to be faster and much more fun. So really, the areas we look at right now, because it's sort of open, is search. How to navigate content from all these sources. I mean, do you really want to sit there and type into Hulu or YouTube to search for something to show your friends? Sometimes, but what if we could bring all of that content to you in a way that you normally watch on TV anyway? We know what you like which brings us to recommendations. We know what you like, and we can just inject the content into your stream. So, you know, your friend says, hey, check out this cool YouTube video from his computer, and immediately you can watch it on TV. Recommendations predict what you want to watch so that you don't have to go search for it, which is great for the laid-back people and for the people that, you know, like myself, that watch YouTube when it's funny, and the 99.9% of remaining content I just don't even want to deal with. Deal with your friends. How to connect on a social network when there's multiple people in the room. You can have a party that's separated by 2 households. We have Skype on our TV. You can do that. And you can see, you know, live chat everybody on there too and see what they're posting to Facebook at the time. Or stream better to Facebook. Your home, the center of your home, Samsung really focuses on the fact that they make every single thing in your home, and thus there's no reason that we can't stick a little 99-cent Ethernet jack into the back of it that you can just communicate with all your stuff. You know, your washing machine can notify you when it's done. Your toaster can notify you that your bread is becoming burnt, and your refrigerator can complain that you're out of cheese. So it's really that kind of an industry right now. There's really just not a lot there, and surprisingly enough, the argument that your refrigerator should notify you when your milk is low is surprisingly compelling to people that care when their milk is low and don't like to, to have to go to the store, or better yet, it buys it from Amazon and ships it to your house automatically and tells you on your TV so you can sign the little pad on your cell phone. It's those kind of solutions that are really sort of open on the TV right now. There's really not a lot to it right now because it's still a dumb monitor. We just put a Linux box in it, we turned your TV into a computer, and that's the more complicated side of it. And so my conclusion is basically that. Here's a TV. It's off right now. When it turns on, what do you want to see? It's actually a Dell monitor, because I couldn't find a cool picture of a TV with a backlight. But when this monitor turns on, and there's a bunch of people sitting around it, what do you want to see? There's really a plethora of content. It's now connected to the internet. You can do creative solutions like Facebook, Twitter, Google Ads, Google Apps, anything you can really think of, things that haven't been thought of. And we can bring it to the platform for everyone to enjoy. And I have to add, and make money from it, because the whole point of all this stuff, the whole point of the internet is to make money. But really, it's about targeting it. The internet has figured a way to get people to log on to Facebook and share every last intimate detail about everything you do. The TV wants to know everything you do. Why? Because it's different people. And really, do you care if they provide something as beneficial to you as Facebook? Do you care that it knows what you watch? Most people don't care that, you know, Gmail reads your email, but it does. Not a person, but a system. And so if a TV can provide to you new content to watch, it will notify you that 24 is going to be on, and you know, it plays a bunch of times later, and would you like to just watch it after the episode of something on Hulu that you're watching, to schedule it into more of what you're used to on this platform already? Is it worth sharing that kind of information? And that's kind of it. Any questions?
I was just wondering, you mentioned Korea. Is that your biggest success, the market, the most penetration in Korea?
Samsung is from Korea. Samsung owns everything in Korea.
Is that where you guys are having the biggest, like, internet or connected television, you're having the biggest success? Because they're usually...
Korea drives it very predominantly because Korea has ridiculous internet speeds. When I stay in the hotel there in Korea, I get, as I was saying outside, like 50 up, 25 down on average from crappy hotel wireless and Wi-Fi. They happen to have a much more ubiquitous network, and it sort of allows this to happen. They also don't have the ridiculously old, set-in, hard-to-deal-with content companies, and so they're kind of happy to stream to you online if they'll make you not buy an antenna outside. So.
I was just like wondering what they were mostly using the internet television for. What's the biggest application that people are using it for?
They are using it for stupid games. Yes, they like their little games mostly because they don't sell. It takes much longer to sell Xbox and stuff in that country.
Most people not have computers and stuff.
They do, but it's not as an affluent country, and so it's somewhat more reduced, and so they're sort of okay buying the TV because they have to watch the news, but they don't really want to buy. If they can put all that stuff into their TV, they're golden. It doesn't have to work perfectly. It's just, it's cheaper and it's much more unified, and they're much bigger techies than we are as a whole. So, yeah.
Are virtual reality goggles too expensive to create an application and hook up to to a TV? Like you get six goggles and 6 people account.
Well, no. The question at that point is, why are you connecting it to a TV? Why not just have everybody in video goggles and sitting there? You're talking about actually layover of the TV content, or?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are all hanging out, like you were saying, if you want to play Texas Holdem
Uh-huh.
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, one of the use cases we keep thinking of is that, is it right for the TV? Are people going to really pay that? I mean, yes, people for some reason buy $200 3D glasses for their 3D TVs. The question is that are the people that want a gaming solution on the TV that's very low power really going to buy expensive goggles, things that are in the $400 or $500 range for multiple people, versus if you have a PS3, hook it up to your TV and you can do the same thing. Yes, there have been discussions about how to do that, how to do the little monocle vision overlays of your TV, how to do Sony patented the dual view 3D system, which basically means each person, instead of having blinking shutters that go like this, they blink simultaneously and each person sees a different image on the same TV. Cool, but now you're limited to 2. So I don't know if they're really trying to sell more TVs that way, but maybe someone's buying. So yes, and there are many creative solutions like that that can be brought to the TV that are quite interesting if you take them to that next level of, how can you really watch it? Can you watch, layover Tom Clancy on top of Who Wants to Be a Billionaire and run around the stage? Any other questions?
So the platform, TV as a platform, is Korea already close to that result? Or is it?
We have it. I mean, right now we have the platform in its infancy. We have this web platform on the TV. You can go buy a TV this year and mostly stream content like Netflix or play Sudoku or little things like that. As that platform evolves, there are many considerations that need to be brought into it. And so they do have a platform, but it's definitely not evolved enough to be what people want. Because obviously with 20% of people plugging in, it's not a gotta-have experience. It's, hey, look, I got an Ethernet jack that happens to be behind my TV, or I bought an $80 dongle to plug into my $3,000 TV. It's kind of opportunistic right now. It's not really focused. So, and Google has their Android TV project, which I'm hoping will have a little bit more of an open and useful platform to really challenge Samsung to improve itself faster. So,
But is this goal a cultural thing, or is it shared by other Asian countries like Japan?
it's hard to say right now. Samsung doesn't sell in Japan right now because it's kind of scary to sell with their electronics industry there. They're quite I don't want to say mafia-esque, but sort of in that direction of they really control a lot. There are a lot of other countries in Europe and things like that where, like, Sky TV has showed little avatars of people sitting in front of a soccer match, and people can throw pies and apples and things like that, and those things actually go over surprisingly well. So. It's kind of that people will use it right now, but there's not really an integrated solution that's for everybody. Because I personally, it's gimmicky to do that at one point, but I don't know if I'd really want to watch every game with a little avatar of myself throwing potatoes at someone on the soccer field. So.
So is this peculiar to Samsung, or is it other Korean companies like LG and others doing the same thing?
LG has their own platform. I didn't talk about it here because they haven't released very many screenshots because they're kind of a year and a half behind Samsung in that market. But there are other companies that are doing that. Sony is using Google TV. Sharp hasn't really announced it yet, but they like making money themselves, so they'll probably announce their own, sixth thing on the market that they can use. LG has their own homegrown thing, which I don't exactly know how it works, but it's kind of all the TV companies are moving slowly in the same direction, and even Google, Apple, non-TV companies are moving in the same direction, trying to figure out that, you know, your TV, if it's going to cost that much, you might as well do something more with it. You might as well plug the Ethernet jack into it, and all the solutions are significantly different, but they're all kind of moving simultaneously.
Why is it that Samsung is, how is it benefiting from you working for them?
My group and my position really are an innovation team. We do make some product releases, but my group really, we propose new ideas of what to do with this stuff. And you know, with our handheld platform, with taking it to another level of interaction, trying to get away from remotes, even in the same sense, we have made a touchscreen remote control so you can do the same thing. That being said, it's kind of bulky and big, and you have to recharge your remote control every day, which you're okay with your cell phone, but the TV remote, yeah.
Why can't you turn your cell phone into a TV remote?
We have our cell phone as a TV remote, too. And so I'm not sure how well these are going to sell. They come free with our top-end model now, but that's just sort of one of the ways that it's evolving, is trying to expand beyond the box that you don't actually touch. There's no remote control other than your little crappy remote control, and people don't really want that format to go away since they still watch TV, but you need something more. Boxy has one that you flip over and there's a keyboard. It's just a little awkward to sit there and type with your thumbs watching TV. It's a little distracting. So, yeah. Any other questions?